Hey guys, welcome to today's webinar, Introduction to Vault Professional. My name's Ian Cross. I'm a data management specialist here at CrossTech. So first of all, let me just flick over to the next slide. So the agenda for today's webinar is I'm just going to start by going through who are CrossTech. We're a pretty new company, so just want a bit of an introduction to who we are. Then what is Vault, why you should be using Vault, the different versions of Vault, and then we'll jump into a live demonstration. So who are CrossTech? So CrossTech, founded just this year by myself. We are a global consulting, support and training company. We are based in Australia, but that doesn't stop us from working with anyone around the world. So whether you're in America, the UK, India, Europe, wherever you may be, we can do online consulting, support and training. We do have support packages, Vault data management packages, and our training at the moment is all online anyway. So regardless of where you are, you can jump onto our training courses, and we can also tailor our training courses to match your time zone as well. I've got guys around the world who can help me out in different time zones. So yeah, no matter where you are, we can work with you and help you out. We've got over 20 years experience in the AEC, the manufacturing, the data management environment. So, I mean, just myself, I've been with Autodesk resellers for the past 13 years. And before that, I had 8 or so years as an engineer in the field. So, and I've worked for a number of different resellers around the world, in the UK and in Australia. So we've got a lot of experience with the Autodesk packages. And we do span across manufacturing, architectural, construction, and data management areas. So Inventor, Revit, AutoCAD, Advanced Steel, Navisworks, Plant, Vault, AutoCAD Electrical. So yeah, we do span across a number of different products. So that's who we are. We provide consulting, support and training across the Autodesk product range, based in Australia, but can help you out no matter where you are. So let's jump across into what is Autodesk Vault. Now, I'm presuming most of you know what Autodesk Vault is, as you're here to try and learn a bit about it. But what Vault is, it's a PDM system, or a product data management system, which is, it's a tool, a product for managing all of your product related information across your engineering, construction, manufacturing business, giving you a single source of truth for all of your data. So how does it sit in your business? So Vault lives on a server somewhere. So the Vault that I'm actually using today is in the cloud. My Vault is on an Amazon AWS server. But Vault governs your engineering documents and your engineering information, your data and document control. So it controls your life cycles, it controls your workflow, controls your revision scheme. It gives access to files only when and to who is needed. So if you've got, I don't know, let's say bills of materials, you've got purchasing information, you've got procurement stuff, you've got your Inventor files, your AutoCAD files, it will only give access to the correct people at the correct time. And your document control, so it will store all of your versions, it'll store all of your revisions, and it will manage your revisions as well. You've got your data reuse. So when we go into Vault, I'll be looking at something called copy design. We've got our workflows. So that's what I was just mentioning. So work in progress, reviewal, released, quick changes, obsolete, superseded, issue for construction, as built. It will control all of that. And I say it's a single source of truth. It keeps everything standard. There is a program called Data Standards that comes with Vault, which allows you to keep everything to your company sort of requirement, your company specifications. It's got the auto numbering scheme, so you can build in your own numbering schemes. So it controls the standardization of your documents. So why should you choose Vault? So most people who aren't using a PDM system are wasting time managing their data, whether it's the reuse of the design data. Now, if you've ever tried to copy an Inventor assembly in Windows Explorer and then spend the rest of your life trying to fix up all of the errors that it causes and broken links and file references all over the place, it's an absolute nightmare. Finding the right information, whether it's just because files are on your C drive, they're on someone else's C drive, they're on the network drive, somebody's took some files home and modified them there, they're on a USB stick somewhere, someone's renamed something, or you don't know what they're called. It's an absolute minefield of information out there, and you don't know where the correct information is. You don't know what is the most up-to-date document. And then you've got collaborating with your colleagues in conflicting versions. One, as I just mentioned before, people take things everywhere, USB sticks, hard drives, working from home. You don't know what is the most up-to-date version. Whether you've got external contractors, you've got staff working at home, you need to collaborate and have a single source of truth so everyone is working from the same information. Vault manages all of that and makes your life super easy. Then you've got things like your engineering workflow. Okay, this one here is a pretty standard workflow, and trying to manage this outside of a document management system, again, is a nightmare. You've got people signing things off, you've got bits of paper that go missing, you're printing tons of stuff off. People are bypassing the system. If you go with something like Vault, it locks this in. You cannot move it from state to state without following the correct procedures. Whether it's, if it's something that the project start state there, has to go to design and work, only a particular person or a group of people can move it from state to state. Only certain people can see it at that state. So it locks in the security, which brings me on to my next slide. So Vault you can have it as flexible as you want. You can lock it down quite tight. There's the lifecycle state security. So when a file's at work in progress, review, release, whatever state you've got, you can lock that state down to only visible to a select number of users, groups, whatever it is that you've got set up. You've got folder security. So the folders inside of Vault, like Windows security, you can set security on folders. Every user who logs into Vault, you have to have a login to get into Vault. So there's one step of security. That user is then given a role inside of Vault. So that role has security assigned to it. If they're assigned to a group, that group has got security assigned to it. You can then even go down to the file level of security and actually right click on a file, a bit like Windows Explorer again. You can go into and select file level security. And then finally, you've got the thin client access or web access or web viewer. There's a bunch of different names that people refer to it. It's known as the thin client. Now that allows read-only access into Vault, which, for procurement or, someone's just asking a question. Yes, this webinar is on 2021. Sorry, Martin, I'll get to the questions at the end, just to help me get through. So then you've got the thin client access, which is a read-only access through Internet Explorer or Edge as it's called now, or Chrome or Firefox or whatever web browser that you're using. You can use the thin client to get read-only access into the Vault, which is great for non-CAD users who just need to see PDFs or drawing files or bill of materials or whatever it may be. So then if we just move on to the next slide. So there's 3 different versions of Vault. Technically there's 4 versions of Vault, including Vault Office. So Vault Basic is what you get with your product design collection or your AEC collection or your collections that you buy from Autodesk or your reseller. Vault Basic comes with that, and essentially it integrates in with your CAD. You've got the incredible searching capabilities. You've got the copy design. You've got the concurrent design, which allows multiple people to be working on the same projects. It's easy to configure, easy to deploy, and integrates in with Office. So it'll integrate in with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, that sort of thing. Then that's the, again, essentially, they're calling it the free version. You do have to buy a product collection to get it. Then you move up to a Vault Workgroup, which is a separate licensed product. Comes with everything that's in Vault Basic. You've then got the projects and reporting. You've got revision control. So as the file moves through the life cycle, and for instance goes up to release and it has to come back into a work in progress state, Vault can control the revision, so there's no manual bumping or putting it in the title blocks or updating revision tables. Vault can manage all of that for you. It comes with the extra flexible security, which we've just talked about. It then integrates in with Outlook. So in the Vault Basic, it doesn't integrate with Outlook, but once you get to Workgroup, it does. You've then got things that automate deliverables, such as the PDF creation. That's a utility involved called the job processor, which I will cover today. Obviously, you've got your life cycles, and then you've got Vault Office. Now, Vault Office is, I'm going to call it a cut down version of Vault. It gives you everything that your Vault Workgroup or your Vault Professional can give you, except you cannot check it out and modify CAD documents. So DWG files, IPT, IAM, IDW files, essentially giving you full access for non-CAD users into Vault, so they can be involved in the approval process. They can be involved in the change orders. They can be involved in approving drawings and documents. They can check in and check out Office documents, image files, laser scans, PDF files, that sort of stuff. They just cannot modify, check out CAD documents. Then we move to Vault Professional, which is everything included in Basic and Workgroup. You've then got your bill of material management, which comes with the item master, which then can be linked into your ERP system or SharePoint or whatever you're integrating with. You've got the ECO or engineering change order, which is it's the change process for when a file's being released or issued for construction or as built or whatever you're calling it in your organization. If that file needs to be changed, a change needs to be raised, approved before the file can be moved back to work in progress and modified. So that's the ECO process. You've got the ability to multi-site scalability. So if you've got multiple sites around the country or around the world, then you can use something called replication, which is part of Microsoft's SQL. It allows you to link all of your sites together, so you're all working from the same data. Then you've got the ability to connect to the cloud, not as in a cloud hosting server, but your Fusion and your BIM 360. So that comes into Vault Professional. I will show that. I've got mine set up to my Fusion. You then got SharePoint integration, ERP integration, and your web access comes into Vault Professional as well. So that's your thin client. Now, if you do have Vault Office and you've got the Vault Office server installed on the ADMS, then Vault Office does allow you to check in and check out from the web client. Now, it doesn't allow you to be involved in lifecycle approvals, like you can't push a state forward. It's simply just a check in and check out from thin client. Okay, now, if we jump to the next slide, which is our demonstration. If I bring up my Vault, where are we? Here we are. Okay, so as I mentioned, my Vault's in the cloud. Now, if you do want more information with putting your Vault in the cloud and managing it up there, just get in touch with me. I can host the cloud for you and talk about the costings and space and putting your Vault up in the cloud. So this is Vault Professional 2021. I'll just give you a quick run through of the interface. So over on the left-hand side here, we have our sort of our folder structure, if you like. Let me just bring mine down a bit. There we go. So I've got my Project Explorer, I've got my Content Center where my Content Center files go. I've got my designs where all my files live, and I've got the webinar folder that we're going to work from today, and then a few other folder structures. So if I click in here and go to my Project Explorer, in the middle here is most of my main area where I can see my files, I can see my Inventor project files, I can browse through my folder structure. Over on the right-hand side, we have our properties. Now, if I just click on a file, actually, if I go and find an Inventor file to start with, that test one there. So we've got system properties, and further down here, we've got user-defined properties. So system properties are properties generated by Vault itself, such as the state of the file, the version of the file, the revision scheme. It could be file size, file location. They're properties that you can't go in and modify. User-defined properties are properties that you can create yourself, and then you can link into your title blocks, such as your I properties and your attributes in your AutoCAD templates. Now, you can have as many of these as you want. But with Inventor and AutoCAD, with Inventor, it has to be an I property. With AutoCAD, it has to be an attribute. You can't just link it into plain M text. And with Inventor's title blocks, it can't be a prompted entry. It has to be an I property or a custom I property that you have to link it with. So down here, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. You can see there it's brought in like stock numbers, part numbers, materials, who the design did, the completion percentage, all that sort of thing, and some other information. Now, we'll go through having a look at how we do that in a little bit, but the more information you get into Vault, the better, because Vault has a really great searching functionality, which allows you to just, in Windows Explorer, you can essentially just search on a name. You're looking for a file name, essentially. With Vault, any information that comes through from Inventor or AutoCAD, you can search upon that. And it's not just I want to search for a name, or I just want to search for a designer who made it, when they made it. You can do ands and ors and things like that. So you can search for, I want to search for something that was created last week. I want to search for something that was created by Ian, and I want to search for something that's still in work in progress. All of that information, then bang, it'll bring it up straight away. Because all your data lives in Microsoft SQL, the searching is super quick. Anyway, we'll come to that in just a sec. Now, if I come and say, I select my part, and down here, why are you hiding? Come on, there we go. So I select a part, and down the bottom here, I've got things like, I've got the history of that file. You can see that there's 10 versions and 1 revision. So every time you check in and check out and modify that file, it increments the version. Now, don't worry about thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have tons and tons of versions. It's not like there's 10 different files sitting there in Vault. It's all stored in the metadata in the SQL. It's not, tenfold of the file size. Don't worry about that. And then you've got all of your revisions as well. So every time you increment that revision, it stores it. At any point in time, if I go show all versions, I can see everything that's happened to that file as it's went through its life. And I can always go back to a particular point. So if I want to go back to 2018, where this modification was made here, I can do that by just selecting that file, checking it out, and I've got that file from 2018. Now, my only thing I would say with that is when you check in and check out, you do have the ability to put comments in there. Put a comment in there, because if you do end up with 10, 20, 30, hundreds of versions, you want to be able to distinguish between those versions. If there's no comment in there, you're flying blind. Okay, you don't know exactly what happened at that version. So please do put comments in there. The more information, the better. With these files, you can look up and down its tree. So if it's a part, and you can say uses, does this part have any children? It doesn't. And then I can also look up, is this part being used by something else, which it isn't. So let's go and find something that does have parents and children. No, not libraries. I want workspace. Yeah, I'll just pick one. So if I look up, and there's nothing in these ones, it's just going to prove me wrong, isn't it? Okay. Maybe I've got frame here. There we go. There you go. So you can look up the tree and you can see exactly where that file is being used. So you can now see, okay, if I check that file out and I modify it, what is going to be affected? Okay, so you can see that there. And so you can also, if I go to, let's take this guy here, I can then look down the tree as well. So I can see all the parts that are being used inside that assembly. Again, so if I check that file out, I can see what is going to be affected by any modifications. Okay, then we've got change order and we've got preview. So change order, as I mentioned before, that's when a file goes into the release state, and if you want to make a change to it, you can raise a change. So I've got a couple sitting over here in my work list. Couple closed, couple are open. I can see the status of the file, where it's going through its approval process. It's still in the create stage. This one's in the open stage. These have been changed off. There was some hole changes or some radius changes on the file, but you can try, and that ECO lives with that file for the rest of its life to go towards like things like your ISO compliance. So if you need to track the history of that file, everything that's been done, who did it, when they did it, why they did it, who approved it, it's all stored there with the file. So if I then say, if I go and find this file, where was it, that one there? Go to the folder, there we are there, in there, under change orders, there's that state there, living with the file for the rest of its life. Now, I mentioned it's got a really great search tool. So let's go and just come up to the top here, over here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to drop this guy down, and I'm going to say find. Now, it's just appeared on my other screen. Let's bring it across. There we go. So in here is where we do the searching magic. So you can search on any property inside of Vault. All of the properties are here. Now, depending on what property you pick, for instance, if it's a date, the condition will be, for instance, you want to search for this week, last week, next week, whatever it is for the condition. If it's like a Boolean or a like CC part, I think is a true or false. Okay, contains, does not contain, is empty, is not empty, greater than, less than. Depending on what property you pick, depends on the condition you will get. So let's say, for instance, I want to find that tank I created, but I don't know the name of it, but I do know the part number. Sorry, one moment. Part number contains 1, 3. Add that in, and you can add more in. So you can do the, well, it was created by Ian, or it was revision A, or whatever. Fine. Now there we go, and there's my tank. Instantly brought it up, searches the entire vault, brings it up super quick. Okay, and then from here I can open. I can change the state. I can change the revision. I can go to the folder to find out where it is. It's taking me to my tank folder, and there's my tank there, sitting in work in progress, revision A. Okay, so it's got a really, really super quick searching tool, which will give you a lot of benefits from Windows Explorer anyway. You know, having to sit there and trawl through documents, you know, Bob's called a file part 1, and you don't know he's got part 1 all the way through to part 50, and you don't know which one is which. But he did give it intelligent information in the iProperties, which you can then search upon in Vault, which you can't do in Windows Explorer. Another thing which is great over the Windows Explorer thing is the copy design tool. So if you, for instance, have an assembly, okay, we've got this assembly here, and I need to create a duplicate of that assembly, but some things are going to slightly change. Some things are going to stay the same, some things are going to change. If you've ever tried to do that in Windows Explorer with Inventor files, you spend your lifetime trying to fix up all of the references. In Vault, we have a tool called Copy Design. So it brings up the Copy Design dialog box. It automatically, because it's in Vault and Vault understands Inventor, it automatically grabs all of the related information. So it's grabbed all of the sub-assemblies, all of the parts, it's grabbed all the different frames that are inside the assembly. Now, within here, I have to tell it what I want to copy, what I want to replace, or what I want to reuse. So for instance, this tank is going to change, but I'm still going to use the same foot assembly. Okay, so I'm just going to select all, and I'm going to say I want to copy it to a new location. Let's put it in the webinar folder. Actually, before I do that, let's just make sure I grab everything. And I'm going to say copy to, let's put it in the webinar folder. In there, click OK. It's going to copy all them across, but I said I want to reuse the foot assembly because it's going to stay the same. The foot assembly is not going to change. So I can say, well, I want to reuse them so it doesn't copy them across. They will still be part of the new assembly, but it'll just use the original ones. It's going to create all new designs for these, and it will just reuse the design for them. I've also got the option of excluding. I say take it away, don't want it in this assembly. And then I've got replace, so then you can browse to another part and bring that in. So you've got a couple of options what you want to do: reuse, replace, exclude. You get to pick and choose what you want. It will create a brand new assembly. It will make sure everything is still constrained and doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it will then choose, it will go with what you've set in the copy, replace, or reuse. Now we've got our numbering schemes across here. So at the minute, it's just choosing copy of so on and so forth. If you have a built-in numbering scheme into Vault, you can use that. Now, do I have some numbering schemes in here? I don't know if I do. Let's just pick my training one. There we go. So there's my training. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is you can see if you drag it into there, it's then going to pick the training numbering scheme, training-M, M being mechanical, then a numbering scheme. I can pick and choose from here, whether it's architectural, mechanical, electrical. If I pick electrical, you can see that it changes there to E, and you've also got the ability to change sort of suffixes and prefixes and that sort of thing. So anyway, I've done all that, and you pick your numbering schemes, everything's great, and then I say execute my copy. It goes and does it. I can't bother to go through and change everything. So it does its copy. I say we're keeping the same foot assembly. So if I close this down, if I go to my webinar folder, there we are there. There's my new assembly. They've all got the copy. There's that training file. But if I click on my copy of my tank assembly and say uses, it's still using that standard foot assembly. The new foot assembly is not in here, but it's using that same foot assembly from the other folder. So if I go to that folder there, there's the foot assembly. If I can see where it's being used, I can see it's being used in that copy of tank assembly there. Okay. Easy as can be. If you try to do that in Windows Explorer, you're just in a whole world of pain. Okay, so there's some of the basic capabilities: the copy design, the searching, properties. That's all sort of there in Vault Basic. Although you don't get the properties panel in Vault Basic, you can still map your properties in Vault Basic. So let's have a look at what happens with files and pushing them through life cycles and how that's going to benefit you. So inside of my Vault, in my administration, I have my behaviors. I have some particular life cycles in here. So there's my cross-tech life cycle. It's pretty straightforward, just work in progress, review, release, quick change, and so on and so forth. I have a cloud sync state, which I'll go through when we cover the cloud bit, but that's just for allowing me to sync up to the cloud. So I've got my lifecycle states. We have transition details and we have security details as well. Because this is my own vault, I don't really have any security inside of here. But in here, this is where we say who can and can't see it in particular states. And under the transitions, we say who can and can't send it between states. Let's bring this across. Here we go. So for instance, going from work in progress to review, we can say, it's on the screen again. There we go. The criteria from going from state to state. So if you've got a problem for example, of people not filling in information before it goes to the review process, people are forgetting to put costings or part numbers or descriptions or whatever it may be, you can say, well, to go from work in progress to review, for instance, cost, or let's say, maybe not cost. That's not what I wanted to show really. Let's just stick with description. I can say is not empty. Okay, description has to be not empty before it goes from A to B, from work in progress to review. And I just add that in. So when people try to move it from state to state, if they haven't put something in the description, not happening. So you can enforce them to put those information in. Okay, let's just remove that guy. Then we've got particular actions, such as bumping the revision, synchronizing the properties, and we've also got creating PDF files. So when it goes from state to state, you can automatically create a PDF file as well when it goes from state to state. Now you do need to use the job server, which we'll cover in just a second. Then we've got custom job types. So I'm going to touch on something called coolOrange a bit later on, just to show you what you can extend the vault to do. But you can add your own custom jobs into here. And then finally, we've got security, who can and can't push it from work in progress to review. So you've got the security of who can see it at that state, and then you've also got the security who can and can't push it from state to state. Okay, so there's a lot of different security in there. So you can say, especially when it's released, you don't want someone jumping straight from work in progress straight to released. So under security, you can say everyone deny. So you physically cannot jump straight into a release state, which is great. So there's my workflow. I mentioned that everybody has their own security and login information. That's in just a different tab. We've got revisions. So I've got a released revision scheme here. I've got a numeric revision scheme. So you can have a number of different revision schemes built in. We've got our categories and rules. So what the categories and rules do is this is what enforces a file to use a particular lifecycle, a particular revision scheme. When a file comes into Vault, the first thing it does, it goes through a rules engine. It says, okay, you are that type of category. So for instance, I have a 3D design category here, which is associated with the Crosstech lifecycle. It's associated with the alphabetical revision scheme, and it has a heap of properties associated with it. Now, those rules are defined under rules. So for instance, if it's an Inventor iPart, and it does not contain the electrical discipline, it goes onto the 3D design. Okay, when it gets associated to the 3D design, it then gets given the Crosstech lifecycle, it gets given alphabetical numbering scheme, and then so on and so forth. It gets all the properties associated and security associated with it. So Word documents, and it contains doc, it goes onto the Office, which then gets its own revision scheme, and so on and so forth. So that's all my rules set up. I've got my properties, which are all linked to, for instance, let's have a look. Let's see part number. I'll just see the part number, which is mapped across to my Inventor file property part number. So, you know, when the Inventor part number is filled in, it comes into Vault. It will then populate the property in here part number. Now, I'm going to show all that in just a sec when I check a file in, and we can see all that happening. And then we have our numbering schemes down here. So let's go again, come across over here. Missed it. There we go. And then we've got our BS 1192, we've got our sequential, we've got our test, we've got our training. They're all just defined in here by setting up particular delimiters and particular values. Let's have a look at my training one. I've got a delimiter, fixed text, another delimiter, a list, and then an auto-generated number scheme. So that's all in there. So that, again, it's just saving you time. If you have all them built into Vault, and then you just click save and the numbering scheme pops up, then great, awesome. I don't have to then go and look at a spreadsheet to find out what the next available number is. So it's just making your life a whole lot easier. All right, so let's jump over to Inventor and let's see all this actually happen. So I'm going to create a new part. I'm not going to create anything overly complex. Let's just do circle. Let's make it 50. Extrude it both ways by 10. There we go. There's my lovely part. And then I'm going to click save, and you can see my generate numbering scheme automatically pops up. I'm going to pick my training one. Yes, it's mechanical. Click OK. I'm going to put it in my webinar folder. This is just saving to my C drive at the moment. Okay, I'm going to save it into there. And then on my Vault tab here, I can check it in. Now, when you've got assemblies and stuff checked out, there is a Vault tab in your browser on the left-hand side here, and you can see the status of all of the different files. I'll check out an assembly in just a bit and show you how all that works. And all these little glyphs here mean different things. If it's, if it's green, it's checked out to you and modified. If it's clear, it's in Vault, but you've got a local copy. There's a whole range of different glyphs. If you don't know what they are listed online, or you can just hover over them and you do get a tooltip, such as this one is not in Vault. So I'm going to check it into Vault. We've got keep files checked out, or close files and delete working copies. That's just kind of maintenance, if you like. So you can, when you check the file into Vault, it'll delete the file from your C drive. Or keep files checked out is it'll check it into Vault, save where it is at the moment, and then check it back out to you as well. So put a comment in there. It's checking it into the webinar folder. Click OK. Puts it into Vault. Got to remember, my Vault's in the cloud, so this is pretty quick for checking it in. If I come down to my webinar folder, there's my file there. Oh, no, that's the one there. It's being checked in. It's got a little thumbnail preview there. Down the side here, it's got author, completion, designer, materials generic. There's my part number. It's all been checked in. Okay, easy as can be. It's automatically been assigned to the 3D design category. It got work in progress. It went to revision A. I didn't need to do anything. I just simply checked it in. It does all that work for me. It goes on work in progress. The security is all associated. The security is assigned. You don't need to do anything. It's all just ready to go, which is super, super easy. Okay, as it moves through its life cycle, it's as easy as it can be as well. There is a change state button at the top, or you can right click and everything's on the right click as well, change state. So as I'm going through, I would say, yep, I want to change this to for review, or you will only see what you're allowed to see based on the security. Mine, I can pretty much see anything because it's my Vault and I don't really have anybody else accessing my Vault, so I can pretty much do everything apart from move it directly to released. So I'm going to go to the review state, put in a comment, click OK. It moves to the review state, and then the next stage of security kicks in. Whether you're a reviewer or you're an approver or you're a viewer or you're a draftee, depending on what your security is, depends on what you can do. You can see that the glyph has changed. It means that my local version is incorrect because it's now a different state. To update that, I can just do a get. Just refreshes my local version with the most up to date, and I'm good to go. Right, so I'm not going to move the file completely all the way through. You kind of get the idea. When you finish making your changes, you just move it to the next state, and then so the next level of security kicks in, and whoever needs to do the next job does their next job. Now, I mentioned before we've got the job processor. Okay, so the job processor is it's a tool that comes with Vault. Okay, it's not something you've got to buy. And what it does is it's there to relieve some of the pressure from your machine. So when you check in an absolute heap load of files and you need visualization files created, you can send that job off to the job processor. Okay, so your machine is not churning through creating hundreds and hundreds of visualization files. It also does things like syncing the revision, updating the properties, updating your revision block, and creating your PDF files. So when we do things like the administration in here, we've got automatic PDF creation, so we can specify how the PDFs are going to be created. So just, I want to attach it, I'm going to upload it at the same location, sync the state and the revision, and on our behaviors tab here, cross-tech, edit, transitions. When it goes from state to state, all I need to do is say update PDF with job server. Okay, so that will then update the PDF or create one if one hasn't been created. Now, there is an extension of the job processor, which is called coolOrange. It's a third-party add-in, which allows you to do extra things. Now, an example of some of those things is, yes, we can create a PDF, but you can't watermark the PDF. Or you might want to change the settings of the PDF based on a template. You might want to auto-complete properties. You might want to email somebody. Now, it does all of that stuff. Now, I can show some of it. So, for instance, if I come here and say, if I got a drawing here, I don't have a drawing. Let's go to my testing on here. Frame. No, I need a drawing. Go on, tank. There we go. Tank drawing. Right, so when this goes from state to state, I want to do something. I wanted to create a PDF of this file, and I also want to watermark it with state. So I'm going to say change state from work in progress to review, and click OK. In the background, it's doing its magic. So if I just bring across my job processor, here we are, here's coolOrange, and it's adding the state. That's my little job there. It's adding my state to the watermark. And it'll go ahead and do its thing eventually. Let's get this out of the way so we can see Vault as well. So it's adding the state to the watermark. It's opening up Inventor. It's doing some stuff. Now, if I just bring up my jobs folder, so in here, missed it. In here are my jobs. Okay, so I've got things like change revisions, sending emails, adding states, watermarks to states. They're all written in PowerShell, so they're pretty easy to manipulate. And you can basically just do what you want to do with them. You know, if you know a bit of coding, you can do them yourselves. It's an easy way of doing it. So that's just creating the watermark there. If I just do a refresh, okay, there's my PDF there. If I just click on the preview, maybe a bit bigger. There you go. It's created a PDF and it's watermarked it with the correct state. Okay, something that the job processor in Vault can't do out of the box. Another thing was when a file is pushed through to released, one thing that I know does annoy some people is changing from alpha to numeric. So I have another little script in there that changes it from alpha to numeric. I've just got to let the job run in the background, and it'll change it from alpha to numeric. Another great little tool that you know, coolOrange have got. I don't know if that ran all the way. No, it's still working on in the background. All right. Anyway, it's that's going to be doing its thing in the background. So that's another thing, the revision scheme, and then that is then linked into your Inventor title block. So then there's no having to go back into Inventor, add another row to your revision block, and all that sort of thing. Inside of Vault, under Tools, back into the settings again, under Behaviors, we have our revision table. So then you can link your Vault to your Inventor's revision table. So when the revision is updated and pushed through, it automatically updates your revision table in Inventor. Okay, again, it's just saving you a heap of time. So we've got only allowing the right people to see it at the right time, only allowing the right people to approve it, because only the certain people can push it from state to state and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's just absolute lifesaver in mistakes, because we're all human, we all make mistakes. So it's stopping all of that from happening. So I I think with the revision control, the security, actually I didn't show you guys the security. Let me just have a quick, if I go to the global settings. So in here, we have all of our users. So I've got all my different people in here, such as myself, the administrator account. I've got some groups in here, admin, designers, engineers, managers, viewers, such as the designers, if I click into them. And they have been given document editor, consumer, manager roles. All of these roles are defined in here under roles. Now, a good thing with, I think it was 2020 and 2021, you can now create your own custom roles. Okay, so if these roles don't quite hit it with you, for instance, if there's something that you like, but it's not quite there, or you just want to take something away from somebody, you can't edit the system ones, but you can create your own. So come in here, and then you get to pick and choose all of the individual permissions to just exactly give you the right behavior that you want. Whether it's, you want to be able to create change orders, you want to be able to read and write or export to ERPs, create files, check in, check out, edit, be involved in lifecycle, approvals. You get to pick and choose what you do and don't want in that role. And then you just assign it to the group or the user. Okay, let's close those guys down. And then we've got our integrations here for the job server. You obviously got to turn the job server on, and then we've got our change order workflows in there. So, right, that's went through the rev control, the security, the groups and users, creating our PDFs, the life cycles. I don't have Vault Office installed on my computer, but essentially Vault Office, when you go to check out a CAD file, for instance, this is a CAD file here, which is a part file, you can't do the get or check out. So you can do a get because that's just getting it to your local machine. You cannot physically check out a CAD file. You can do everything else with Word files, PDFs, whatever file you want to chuck in Vault. Vault's not picky with file extensions. You can literally make up your own file extension and chuck it into Vault. It will take anything. Okay, so whether it's SolidWorks files, there is a link to SolidWorks, and there is a plugin to make SolidWorks files work, Bentley files, Siemens, PTCs. So you can add in a whole range of different file formats, assign it to a lifecycle, and push it through a lifecycle. So Vault's not picky with all that sort of stuff. The cloud sync that I was talking about. So under your Vault settings, under collaborate, we have this edit, manage, cloud mapping. Under configure, cloud drive mapping. Now to do this, I need something called the Autodesk desktop connector installed on my machine, which I do. And that's logged into my Autodesk account. So in here, what I can do is I can create a new mapping. Let's just call this one webinar. And I'm going to link, let's just link the top level of Vault to my cloud drive folder. Bring this across. It's linked into my Fusion, to my Crosstech Fusion. And I'm going to link it to my Autodesk Vault folder. Click OK. All right. I'm allowing manual sync, so I can sync at the click of a button, or I can sync on like a lifecycle state change or something like that. So I'm going to sync. This is where you can sync individual folders. This is come across on a different screen. Where's it gone? I think it's on a different screen somewhere. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding? Okay, it's peeled off the screen. But then over here, you've got schedules and filters. Now that cloud sync state that I had, what I do for that, allow me to bring you up. There you are. Here we go. Let's again just sync the $1. Actually, no, let's sync the webinar folder. Under designs, let's sync webinar. Okay. Upload, download, or bidirectional. I want it to go both ways. Apply to actionable subfolders. Okay. And then what I set is that my filter is that my state must be cloud sync. Okay, add that in. So when the sync comes around and does its synchronization, if the file is not in the cloud sync state, it does not upload. But if it is in the cloud sync state, it will then upload. And then it goes off to the cloud, and then you can share it with whoever you need be in the cloud. Now, I will just remove that for now, and I'll allow it to do its general sync. So I click apply, click OK, close. And then what I'm going to do is I will just do a, there we are. Let's come down to the webinar folder. Where's the upload one gone? It's disappeared from me. It's disappeared from me. Why, where have you gone? Actions. Nope. My upload button has gone walkies. Upload, Kyra, why are you great at for? There you go. I don't know why it's hiding from me. If I say upload, it's going to upload to that folder. Click OK. Now I'll just run my, if I look at my job processor, it's doing that sync upload. There we go. And then if I bring in to my PC, here's my Fusion drive, Tech, Autodesk Vault, Designs, Webinar, and the file is sitting there. So it's done its upload. Yes, we can sync to BIM 360 as well. So it's BIM 360 and Fusion Team, it can be synced with. Okay, so that's the cloud link. So again, you can sync any particular folder, you can sync it on a time frame, you can sync it manually. It's up to you when you want that sync to happen. And then finally, we have our thin client as well. So if I go and find my internet, if I go, so actually, I don't think I've got my thin client installed. Let me just try it. Nope, I haven't got the thin client installed, so sorry about that, guys. I thought I did, but yeah, essentially it's a viewer into the vault, and you can only see the release documents, or based on the vault security, you get to set what you want everyone to see based on their life cycle. So not based on their life, so based on their security, you get to pick and choose what they can and can't see. All right, let me just make sure that I've got everything covered for you. Went through the properties, copy design, sending up to the cloud. That is only a pro feature. Sending up to the cloud. We went through the check in, check out, get the local machines, Inventor. Oh, I didn't show the assembly in Inventor, just so we can see what the browser looks like. So keeping an eye on your files. If I go, no, not that one. If I go Vault, open, lines, frame, assembly, come on, where are you? Let's just open up the foot assembly, open. I'll not check them out for now. Yeah, that's okay. It's a brand new machine, so I haven't had a chance to download everything. But in my Vault folder, you get to see all of the files here. And if somebody else checks out a file, you'll see that update. So you'll get a little strike through and say someone else has checked it out. If someone else has modified and yours gets out of date, that'll update with like a little red symbol to say that yours is out of date. So you can keep an eye on everything that's going on inside of your assembly. So just keep an eye on the Vault tab there. And from here, if something does get out of date, you can just right click and you can refresh or get the latest from Vault, and that'll update everything for you. Okay. before I get to the questions, I think I've run through, yeah, so your lifecycle security, enforcing, making sure people are approving the correct drawings. One, you're getting rid of the paper trail. Everything is documented in Vault. You cannot do anything without it being documented inside of Vault. Every change you make, it's got your name against it because you've logged in with your username. It is linked with Windows Active Directory. So if you've got your domain names all set up, you can link in with your Active Directory. So everything you do is against your name. You can't get away from something. And because the life cycles are set in stone, which I mean, you can modify them as much as you want, and at any time you can modify them, but only if you're an admin. So you have to follow the correct securities that stops people from bypassing the system. The revision control, linking with your Inventor properties, again, just a lifesaver in time. If you don't have to keep on going through changing the rev scheme in Inventor A to B or A to 0 or whatever, and then updating the table. If you've inserted all the information once into Vault, that should be it. Okay, it'll feed the information back into your Inventor title block. You only have to do it once. We talked about coolOrange, so automating things like your deliverables. Things like if you've moved it from state to state and you want to take that person's name and put it in the drawn by or checked by or approved by, coolOrange can do that. Things like 4 eyes approval. If you don't want to, if you've moved it from work in progress to review, you don't want that person moving it from review to pre-release. So using coolOrange, you can put in that 4 eyes approval to stop people from approving their own drawings. Because even though they might be in the approvers group and they have the ability to do that, you want to lock that down. Okay, so that's where coolOrange comes in as well. So that's some of the basics to Vault. Now I'm just going to do one last thing, which is a bit of self-promotion as demonstration. We do have some training courses coming up soon for end user training and admin training. They're on the website if you want to take a look. Follow us on Facebook and Facebook and LinkedIn for updates, training courses, special offers, promotions, all that sort of stuff. And it's all going to be on our Facebook and our LinkedIn. I keep saying Instagram, our LinkedIn page. If you have any questions, please do get in touch with us. Let me just answer some of the questions that have come through. Vault is generally client, or is it possible to run it in the cloud? Yes, I've got mine running in the cloud. Vault is generally, that's the question. Yes, based on 2021. We went through the upload. Can changing a category or file trigger actions according to rules? Yes and no. Not out of the box, but coolOrange can do it. For that variable, can change your files attribute trigger a change of the files category? Yes, within coolOrange, you can do that based on, you've got to set it up in a script. It's pretty straightforward to change the category. I'll show you actually the PDF script and just show you a brief what it does. If I go to say this add watermark one here, come on, where are you? There it is. So in here, when you come down into the, for instance, creating a PDF file, you've got a whole heap of properties in here that you can play with, and you've got updating the file, and one of them can be updating the category inside of the file, so you can do that inside of there. So and we went through Cloud Sync. Yes. All right, guys. Is there any further questions on Vault Pro? What I can do, what it's like, what I can get up to? Yep, there's another one coming through there. Thank you very much. Got to go. Yep. Thanks for your questions. If you need to get in touch, please do. Any other questions for Vault? If not, please do just email I'll just bring it there. If not, you can always email me direct at info@xcrosstech.com. Jump on the website. There is a contact form there as well if you forget. This video will be uploaded to YouTube, and I'll share the video with you all once it's done. All right, no worries. There's a Q&A in there. Oh, thanks, all good. Cheers, Justin. Okay. All right, we'll call it a day there. Thanks everyone for coming along. So I'll upload it to YouTube and I'll share it with you all. So thanks everyone. See ya.